This is the Cutting Edge on RFM. We're there with you on next Wednesday night. Going through the pieces tonight, you know, you got hardly hear my voice. Yeah, you got hardly hear my voice because some very interesting, weird things happening on earth, yeah. And we really, anyway, as we say, we don't have to talk too much. We want to play this clip here.
The UN-backed government in Libya said it is looking into allegations that African migrants are being sold in slave markets.
We are, from the head of the Presidential Council to the Interior Ministry and the department working against illegal immigration, dealing with this issue. There have been instructions to form an investigative committee to find the truth and capture those responsible and take them to court to be punished.
Now, according to reports, the trade works by preying on the tens of thousands of vulnerable people who risk everything on what's been described as the deadliest route on earth. They use smartphones to connect with people smugglers to get them to the coast in the hope that they can cross the Mediterranean into Europe. Mahmoud Abdul Wahed reports from a detention center in the capital, Tripoli.
These migrants were rescued by Libya's Coast Guard in the Mediterranean and brought here to this detention center in the Libyan capital, Tripoli. Now, they are from several African countries, and they say they have fled war, poverty, and unemployment in their countries. Some of them say they have nothing at all to live on in their own countries. They have taken a tough journey through the desert, and they have paid people smugglers to get to Libya to try to cross the Mediterranean to Europe. With security and financial collapse in Libya, human trafficking and smuggling have become a growing trade. Not only African migrants who risk their life, but also many Libyan locals pay people smugglers to get to Europe through the Mediterranean. Despite European efforts to monitor the Mediterranean, this crisis does not seem to be ending any soon until order and stability prevail in Libya.
There is no proper registration for the tens of thousands of migrants when they arrive in Libya. Many are from West Africa, but also Somalia, Sudan, and Eritrea. But they come with very little money and are vulnerable to exploitation. Libya's economic and political chaos allows the armed militias and smugglers to operate with impunity, preying on these people for illicit profit. According to the reports, the business of detention centers is unsupervised in some parts of the country. Stories have emerged of torture, rape, and forced labor. And when the centers get too crowded, people are then allegedly sold off like goods in an open market. It's thought recent efforts to reduce the number of people crossing the Mediterranean are driving the growth of these privately owned prisons. The International Organization for Migration says trade in humans has become so normalized that people are being bought and sold in public for as little as $400. Well, joining us via Skype now from Geneva is Leonard Doyle from the International Organization for Migration. Thanks very much for being with us. So just give us an idea of what exactly is happening in Libya right now. Is there a slave trade there, and how is it able to operate in the modern age?
Well, shocking as it seems, it's indeed true. And the reason it can happen is because there's really no rule of law across much of Libya. Libya is a country as big as France, with a lot of space there. The migrants are coming through. They see things on social media. They see it right here. They see the promise of a new life when they go through their Facebook feed, and they think something is wonderful waiting for them in Europe. Because a smuggler has abused the system and has sold them that lie. They get off the bus when they arrive in Libya, and they're quickly put into kind of a murder machine, an extortion machine, whereby they're robbed of their possessions, their families are called, they're forced, they're tortured, they give them money, and then they're sold. Unbelievable as it is, they're sold in open public auctions. $400 for a labouring man, maybe a bit more for a woman who can be put in the sex trade. And this is what's happening right across the country. So it's high time the international community spent more attention on Libya, for sure.
And how bad is this? What sort of numbers are we talking about here?
Well, there's about 1 million migrants living and working in Libya. They're not certainly all of them wrapped up in this, but many, many are. being abused and extorted. The government is doing what it can. There are big issues in the country in terms of rule of law. The government does not control all of the country by any means. We work with the government to try and help them in the places where they keep migrants in detention. We wish they didn't. We want the detention centres closed down. But we also want to be there to bear witness and to make sure that the human rights abuses that have been reported and that are happening are at least not happening in the government centres. It's very difficult to control areas under the militia control, as is well aware to everybody. This is a very, very lawless country, and it's incredibly difficult to look after the welfare of the migrants. But what is particularly important now, I think, is that this issue is reaching global attention.
Indeed, and a lot of people will be shocked to know that this is a functioning slave trade economy that exists in the modern world.
I mean, it is indeed shocking. The modern-day slavery is widespread right around the world, and Libya is by no means unique. It's happening in the developed countries of the world and the undeveloped countries of the world. But I think what's particularly shocking is that this is happening effectively in the open, where people can go to a farmhouse, place a bid, and end up owning, quote-unquote, a human being.
So what needs to be done then to combat this? I mean, we've heard French President Emmanuel Macron this week calling for the UN to act in this regard. What needs to be done?
Well, I think the first thing that's happening is very important, which is a sense of collective outrage, which is affecting the politicians. We're seeing a call, as you rightly said, from the President of France. We've seen it from many, many people. Many leaders across Africa have come up and said this is unacceptable, and they've been talking to their Libyan counterparts and saying, what can be done? The what can be done, a lot of it's already happening. There's a lot of money and effort being spent by the European Union, in particular in Libya, in helping improve the rule of law, improve the conditions of migrants. But it needs to go a lot further. We need to see United Nations boots on the ground. There are some United Nations military in the country, but not enough, and they're not there to impose the peace, but they are there to protect the UN workers so that can increase, so that there can be more humanitarian work. At the moment, it's a difficult and dangerous country to work in, and we need to expand that.
And is there a sense of a shared responsibility in all of this? I mean, it's very easy to blame Libya for all of this and the power vacuum that exists there. But this is a result of the fall of Gaddafi, which many Western nations had supported back in 2011. And there is the ongoing issue of migration to Europe and the lack of coordinated action by European nations there. So does more need to be done as far as the international cooperation on this?
Well, I think it's kind of easy to have that narrative that you've just given, and and that's part of the story, undoubtedly. But the notion that that because one dictator was removed from power, that's the reason for all this happening. Well, I think that it's got to be more than that. I mean, this is everybody's responsible for their own lives, and the fact that there's lack of rule of law or lack of central control in Libya is down to the civil war that's engulfed the country at the end of the day. But there is an international responsibility, which is to help when there's when there's a vast and huge humanitarian problem, as there is in Libya, and that's what needs to happen. We need to see a more assertive international reaction. I think it's there are many reasons that people are moving through Libya, and I would suggest that it's not always the ones we point to. Part of it is, as I said, technology is changing, and so people can use a smartphone to figure out how to get there where they couldn't in the past. There is all sorts of issues like are the states people come from, are they appropriate? Is the leadership giving enough opportunities to its citizens? Is there enough transparency? Are there gender issues? More broadly, are there climate change issues which are driving people off the land because they can't make a living and encouraging them to take a journey north? Are there issues of humanitarian issues like people being forced through violence to leave? Are they in fact refugees? So there's many parts of the story. I think the problem is that we've ignored this story because these were poor people from sub-Saharan Africa, and finally it's come to public attention and people are paying a bit more attention than they have been in the past.
Leonard Doyle, good to speak with you.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for inviting IOM.
Fiery FM, thought-provoking, always smoking. Lyrics like a bazooka. You are listening to Mutabaruka.
Yes, so that was a report from Al Jazeera. Now, it always come up where we have to talk about America in this gripping tale of sufferation and manipulation for different countries. America always involved in it. And you hear the man say it a while ago, and the other man I try to say, well, it's very difficult to say that is the main cause, but me I say the main cause. Even though we can't reverse what happened, but we know say we are going in Libya now is because of the fall of Muammar Gaddafi. The fall of Muammar Gaddafi start this failed state scenario for develop into where we see us now. Miss Clinton, the main character in this development or underdevelopment that take place in Libya now, she was the main one to really manipulate the thinking of the people in the world to cause this atrocity on the people in Libya. That even those migrants coming from deep down in Africa, the West Coast Africa mostly, it's a weird thing for really, and people that actually want to vote and a ball out to them prefer Clinton. People really did want to vote to say them want Clinton, Hillary Clinton as the president of America. When after what she do in 80, after what she do, we know where we say we are going, our handiwork, that evil President Obama, I will keep repeating it, I will not stop repeating it. President Obama declared that one of his greatest, where we call it, disappointment in his tenure as president was after the fall of Muammar Gaddafi. Them never have nothing in place to fill the vacuum. And because them never have nothing to fill the vacuum, this is where it happened. Libya has become a failed state. A state where you also have the people them on a level of education and development. Because Gaddafi see the necessity for Africa have one money and link the money to gold instead of link it to the US dollar. Gaddafi debt, a miserable debt. And now we see where we're going, and now we are shout out again. And then we turn around and wonder, warm to the AU. Warm to the AU. We say a country where it was ravished by civil war. Ravished by civil war. We see them come to the cause now. Rwanda, to be precise. So Rwanda offer refugee at its refuge to enslave Libya migrants. Rwanda, imagine that. So them could have taken like 10,000 refugees. Rwanda where it in a certain where people that I say, look how Africans are killing off them Africans. I don't even know why that is going on in Rwanda. What that civil war was all about. It's the same European intervention that caused these things to go on. You think say Africans just get up all the while just to kill off one another, so? I don't go so. There's certain political intervention that take place in these countries. And not only in Africa neither, you know. Because we see that happening in the Caribbean, we see that happening in South America and Central America. When people try to do things how them want to do it, you hear say not so it must do, it must go in the favor of democracy according to American democracy. And we look on the whole intervention. And we say, Rwanda is offering to take migrants, African migrants. Imagine that. 30,000. Rwanda offer 30,000 offering to take 30,000 African migrants stuck in Libya. Where is the AU? Where is the AU in all of this? I wonder if the migrants them come from Nigeria. Nigeria have the biggest population of people in Africa. I think it's 170 million people. You go to Lagos, it's the most confusing place you ever see anywhere. Confusion until it can't confuse no more. What happened to the Nigerian government? Or whether you're the Nigerian government a ball out for them people we get stuck in that issue because them are run from poverty and war and starvation and all them something they can't to where them are tell way the people are run from. Like everybody. A whole heap of Jamaica, the majority of Jamaican young people that prefer to leave Jamaica. But guess what? Them don't have no boat, them not as near. The coast between North Africa and Europe is less than Yasso and Cuba. Gibraltar is like you can't stand up over. One time we there at Genoa. Which part them say Columbus come from? We there at Genoa and the man at show we say, see Africa over there so. See Gibraltar over there so. North Africa, you can't just stand up over one side and say at the African coast over the other side. So it's not a far distance. I think them say the nearest point between North Africa and Southern Europe is like 11 miles. I think it's 11-mile distance. So it's not no far distance. And people always feel that the other man grass is greener when them left. Because you did have migrants that left Europe for going to Africa one time. When them did that run from the World War. When the World War, they take them might take boat, pan top of boat for enter into Africa. Now it reverse. It reverse. It's like when we used to go at 80, now the Asian them try to come here so. So when we look on the manipulation of people by world leaders, by powers that claim to them is powerful. Well, I mean, I tell you, man, it make your heart bleed. Make your heart bleed, man. And by the way, some of them picture where them show is not picture that connected to where I go on in Libya so right now. I have to tell you that. There's a whole heap of picture float around now, a long time picture from the fall of Gaddafi. Come now, people, you see police are going in a man years and everything. They have nothing to do with where I go on so now. But it still don't take away from the cruelty of people who leave them country so them going to look better. It's like a whole heap of girls that left you now to go to America and feel it go better for them. And sell them because you have some man now in Jamaica where have them contacts over there so we tell them can't get job over there so. And do certain things that make them reach over there. When them end over there then turn prostitute. You know which man with them whole heap of university education left Jamaica and go drive taxi in America. Can prefer go America, go drive taxi and stay here so. You have a whole heap of people in Africa we prefer going to Europe because them feel say life I go better for him over there so. Like Syria, same way. So when them start to do these things and you recognize Arabs You know, John Henry Clark say, Africa no have no friend. John Henry Clark say, Africa no have no friend. And we have to know that, we have to understand that. So what going to do tonight? We have this documentary to play from a long little while, and we just feel say, maybe now is the right time to play it. Marcus Garvey Jr., my teacher from them time there. Kingston Technical High School. If you want to talk about radicalize, them man they radicalize Mutabaruka. Them days you never say radicalize, like what them say. People are radicalized if you go to Islam, for go Eastern Islam. Well, them man they never have no religion or them intention. But as a school youth, them man they radicalize way. Introduce it to Malcolm X, the Black Panther movement, all the books them, Wretched of the Earth. All of these books was available at that time. Black Power by at the time Stokely Carmichael. You know, the Black Jacobin by Sailor James, all them books that we used to read. So we're going to play a lecture by Marcus Garvey's son, the elder Marcus Garvey Jr. But keep in mind that we are telling you, say, Rwanda, ball out, and say them willing to take 30,000 African migrants from Libya. 30,000. Enough migrants that. So what if the migrants are going to go there? I remember say the Senegalese them did when the earthquake did lick Haiti, the Senegalese them did offer to take the Asian them. But they would have to find them way there. That was the catching of that. That was the catching of that now. But I don't know how we are going to go on. But it's going to end, and it's going to end fast. And it's the interest of these white people to make the thing end fast, because we're going to show them up more now. Because the Arab, them and the white people, them a do it. It's them a do it. Especially the Arab, them. The Arab, them will find themselves in Egypt, will find themselves in Libya, will find themselves in most of North Africa, and manipulate and control all Africa. It's the Arab, them is the first people to enslave Africans. And then nobody talk about that enslavement of African people. And then the Portuguese come as white people come enslave Africans. So, we know it go. We know it go. This is the cutting edge on IRFM. Here we go. Clip it. We want to tell you about the Department of Sociology, Psychology and Social Work, UWI Mona Campus, and Ababa Janai Haile Selassie Research Center. Oh, them about Haile Selassie Research Center University? Well, maybe not their university. Present the 87th Haile Selassie commemorative coronation exhibition at the main library, UWI Mona Campus, entitled From Rastafari to Haile Selassie First Coronation Impressions. And this is running from Monday, November the 27th, till Friday, December the 8th, from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, December the 2nd. And this is going on this Saturday, December the 2nd, okay? So it will run from the 27th, which it starts already, to the what, 29th? Okay, so it starts already. So this is at the main library. So anyone who want to view this exhibition can go to the main library. And this is happening Saturday also, December the 2nd. That is a Haile Selassie commemorative exhibition. Okay.